What if I told you by asking myself this simple question, I was able to go from posting one video every single week to recording 2 videos every single morning? Imagine there is this guy called Jimmy. He wants to become the best YouTuber in the entire world. But he knows to be able to do that, he needs the best camera. He needs to have the best lenses and everything, because he knows that'll be a factor to his success. He knows a good camera equals a good video equals good performance, good video, good performance equals good success. So he spends 3 months just autistically researching the best cameras. He asks ChatGPT, he watches those comparison videos, and technically he's making progress, right? But not in the right area. And this is what most people are doing with their own business, or at least what I used to be doing. I used to have these set things that I knew I needed to do. For example, as a YouTuber right now, it's recording videos, doing the most important things, but I wasn't really doing them. I was doing these shallow things like changing my profile banner. I remember this one time I was dead ass. I'm not gonna kid you, I'm literally gonna tell you this full on. I was sitting there for 4 hours, kind of changing the logo of my community, making these ChatGPT questions, and I asked it, can you make me an image of a guy climbing a mountain, and all these things. And I genuinely spent 4 hours creating this community that I didn't even use. I just made all these pictures and used them, and then it was just a complete waste of time. And this is how most people work. They kind of just do all these shallow things that kind of feel productive. For example, changing your profile bio, changing your profile picture. For example, I remember when I was doing copywriting, instead of actually writing the copy and practicing and sending outreaches, I just kept asking ChatGPT for stuff. I kept watching courses, I kept watching YouTube videos, instead of actually sitting down and doing the right thing. And the question that I finally asked myself was, if I only had 2 hours to work in 1 week, what would I be focusing on? And this makes you realize that there's a few certain things that are actually gonna move your business forward. For example, for a YouTuber, it's scripting, recording the videos. For, I don't know, a copywriter, I can imagine it'll be like practicing the copy and sending outreaches. For someone who's doing TikTok, it's actually recording the TikTok. It sounds so like simple and so basic, but most people kind of just sit there. They know they have to script and record a video, but they end up just changing their profile picture. They end up changing their bio. They end up like watching YouTube videos, come do this, all these shallow tasks. They get distracted by their phone. So you can imagine they sit down for 3 hours, but they probably do like 1 hour of work, of deep work, of meaningful work. And the reason people do these shallow work tasks is because it makes them feel productive, but it isn't really getting them anywhere. For example, I used to have the belief that I needed to keep adding and adding things to my routine. I used to think, what is the one habit or action that this billionaire is doing that I'm not doing already? And I would constantly be thinking about it. I'll constantly be adding things to my routine. I'll constantly keep watching YouTube videos. But what I realized is, it's not about adding and adding more. Imagine you're building a bridge across this river. If you keep adding and adding weight, it's eventually going to collapse. And it's the same with kind of like productivity and getting the work that you need to be doing done. It's about subtracting and keeping the most important things. This is what successful people done that I've realized, is that they don't just add and add and add things to their routine. Is they take away everything that's not necessary and focus all their energy and time on this 2 hour a week task, whether it's kind of like the most important task they need to do. And like I said, if you ask yourself this question, like, if I only had 2 hours to work in 1 week, what would I do? And that's exactly what you need to be putting all your energy and time in. So when you're about to sit down and do some work, ask yourself, am I doing something that is part of my 2 hour a week work? And if it isn't, kind of be mindful that you're not really focusing on what's important. And I don't want you to beat yourself up whenever you realize you're doing these shallow work tasks. The idea is that you become mindful of them, and then you go back into doing something more productive, something more meaningful, something that is part of your 2 hour a week task. So let's say you're a YouTuber like me. You realize that you're just kind of going through YouTube, you kind of look at your past videos, you kind of start thinking about your bio, and then you remember my words in your mind, and you think to yourself, oh wait, I'm not doing part of my 2 hour a week work. If I change my bio, it's not really going to help my business. It feels productive, but it's useless. What will be useful will be recording a video, scripting a video, and putting it out for it to be scheduled for 4 p.m. And you realize that, and let's say you save like 1 minute of you just kind of sitting there and changing your profile bio. Imagine you do that every single time, let's say with your own business, whether it's YouTube, whether it's whatever. So 20% more times you do more deep work. So it clicks into your mind every single time you're doing shallow work, you go into deep work, and you do that 20% more times. And imagine over time you go from 20 to 30 to 40, and you can almost imagine this will compound. Instead, let's say you have this 3 hour work period and you want to work for 3 hours, but you only end up doing meaningful 2 hour a week work for 2 hours. So let's say you manage to go from 2 hours to 2 hours and 30 minutes. Those 30 minutes will compound over time. And those 30 minutes will come from you realizing that you're doing shallow work and being mindful of it, and then going back to doing deep work. It's kind of like meditation. It's like you'll be focusing on your breath, and you get some random thought that's taking you away from the breath, and then you realize you're having that thought, and then you bring your focus back onto the breath. That's why meditations are powerful. It makes you kind of realize more of these things, it makes you more mindful of what you're doing actively. That's why meditation is also great. You kind of already know the benefits of meditation. Yeah, attention span, social media disorder, attention span, all these things. But you need to kind of understand how meditation actually benefits you in other ways. For example, you'll be able to realize when you're just kind of doing these shallow work tasks and then go back into doing deep work. And if you do that, let's say you've saved 30 minutes and the next day you save another 30 minutes. Imagine you do that for an entire year. 30 times, so there's 365 days in 1 year, and you times that by 30 minutes. Imagine how much time you'll be able to save to put into something more meaningful. And that is exactly what the successful people are doing, or what I've seen from successful people, is that they don't add and add and add. They take and focus on the most important task, this 2-hour-a-week task. And that was what got me to making 2 videos in 1 day. Because I realized, wait, I've been changing my profile picture. I spent 4 hours literally creating these ChatGPT images for a community that I didn't even use. All these random things. And I was wondering why I wasn't getting any views. I was wondering why I was only making 1 video per week. It's because I wasn't focusing on these correct things. And it took me a while to be mindful when I was doing these useless tasks, and got me into actually doing the most important things. And I really hope you benefited from this video. And if you want a community of guys who are not just like all the losers you have out there, like your friends, your old friends, maybe your family, who aren't, that's kind of nice to be spend time around them, but aren't really on self-improvement. If you want these guys who are actually on self-improvement, who actively want to improve themselves, then I have a community where you can get closer to me, where you can ask people questions. Imagine this: you go into the community and you ask a question, and then some guy responds to you, and then he asks you a question and you respond. You're basically connecting and growing like a tribe would thousands of years ago. And thousands of years ago, we would have grown by just telling each other knowledge. If you do that, you'll be able to times 2 your self-improvement progress. You get all the answers. Maybe some guy found out how to approach girls really easily, and you've been struggling for that for months, and you're able to save months of pain and wasted time just because you asked a guy a question. Imagine you're able to do that. So that'll be the first in description. If you really want to take your self-improvement to the next level, to really level up your productivity, finally get consistent with your habits, not only doing your habits like maybe once every week, getting into a rut, not really doing your habits, getting back into your habits, maybe kind of often doing your habits, struggling with productivity. I used to struggle with productivity for 6 months. Like I told you, I used to I spent 4 hours creating these ChatGPT images, wasting all these time for 6 months. I was struggling with productivity, posting maybe 1 video per month I used to do back then. But then I got down to 2 videos recorded every single morning. It took me 6 months to get to that level, and I'll be able to give you all the answers in probably just 1 week, in 1 month, in 2 months maximum. That will be the second link in the description, my coaching fit code, to see if you'll be a great fit for my coaching and if you really want it. And I really hope you benefited from this video.